from 2004 to 2007 while I was commander there. Because I have seen firsthand how they operate and how they operate as a destabilizing force in the region. And it's been mentioned here that our country gave its word to protect the members of the MEK that were in Iraq. It was the American military that made that commitment for our country. And I will tell you, it galls me every day that I think about it, and I realize that we can't deliver on what we promised. And the American military likes to keep its word. You think about it, the Middle East is in flux from Pakistan to Morocco. In the Levant, the Syrian civil war is entering its fourth year. 170,000 people have been killed. 3 million have been made refugees. Sectarian violence still goes on significantly in Iraq and also in Lebanon. And Iran is a major destabilizing factor in each of those three countries. And if the nexus between terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, and regional instability is important, and cyber warfare is a significant threat, Iran is a negative factor in each one of those four. When I went into Iraq in the summer of 2004, I knew Iran was going to be a significant player. They share a border with Iraq. Over time, I came to see the Iranians employing a three-pronged approach. And I've seen them do the same thing in other places. First, they work to gain political influence by providing financial support to political parties and to political leaders. There was common cause here, and they have significant influence, and they gained significant influence in Iraq as a result of that. Secondly, they had a softer side. They burnished their image a bit by trying to win Iraqi public support with economic assistance, by providing economic assistance, particularly in the southern part of the country. And they did it directly themselves, much like we do sometimes with the Agency for International Development, but they also did it through Iraqi political parties. And third and last, they fostered instability in Iraq through the training and equipping of terrorist organizations. And this is the one that had the most impact on me. And I came to see over time a very close connection between the Quds Force, which is the extraterritorial arm of the Revolutionary Guards, and the Iraqi militias. And we got our first hint of this really about 30 days after I got there. And as we were going back through our reviews, lo and behold, we found intercepts from a Quds Force operative who was calling back and reporting on events in Najaf directly to Quds Force headquarters in Iran. That piqued my curiosity, and we kept a very close eye on it for the rest of the time I was there. Where we really saw Iran's hand, though, was after the bombing of the Al-Askari Mosque in Samra, a northern city in Iraq, in February of 2006. The Shia militia took to the streets, and the more they operated, the more we operated against them, and the more weapons caches we found, and those weapons that we found clearly came from Iran. There was a particularly lethal improvised explosive device that needed a manufacturing tooling capability that didn't come from Iraq. It could only have come from Iran. There was a state-of-the-art rocket-propelled grenade that would penetrate the armor on our biggest tank. And the boxes we found with ammunition were in Farsi. It was clear. And by the middle of 2006, there was no doubt that the Iranian regime was training and arming Iraqi militia and terrorist organization. No doubt. In fact, we had such good data that before the Iraqi prime minister had his first meeting with the Iranian foreign minister, days after he had assumed the position, and my intelligence officer and I went in and we briefed the prime minister on what was going on in the country, about the improvised explosive devices, about the weapons, about the training camps, and about the Quds Force presence. And when I finished, Prime Minister Maliki turned around and looked at me and said, "They are conducting terrorism in our country." And I said, "Yes, Prime Minister, they are, and it needs to stop." Later in 2006, we began to see a very troubling trend. And it appeared to us that Iraqi militia backed by the Iranians were actively pushing other Iraqis out of parts of Baghdad to expand their control over parts of the city. And we suspected this was going on, but we couldn't confirm it. Well, one December evening right before Christmas, our Special Operations Forces captured 6 Quds Force operatives in what amounted to a command center with the Shia militia group, the Badr Corps. And the Badr Corps was the militia of one of the major Shia political parties. In this command center were weapons receipts. They kept very detailed logs of all the weapons and equipment they got. And there was a map on the wall, a map of Baghdad. And it was color-coded. It was color-coded by sectarian group. And there were arrows showing the plan, which was to move basically the Sunni and the Christians out of parts of Baghdad so that they could be occupied by the Shia militias. This confirmed everything that we had been thinking, and it was immediately clear to me that the Iranian regime was directly and purposely fomenting sectarian violence to destabilize Iraq. There was no doubt. So what did I take from all this? 4 things about the way Iran operates are crystal clear to me. 1, the Iranian regime has and will continue to use terrorism to accomplish their political objectives. That's a given. Secondly, the Iranian role in training and in equipping the Iraqi militias was a major factor in sustaining sectarian violence in Iraq from 2006 to 2008, and frankly, it continues today. And as I mentioned earlier, they're doing the same type of thing in Syria and in Lebanon. Third, because of this direct role that they have, they are directly responsible for the deaths of hundreds of coalition forces and thousands of Iraqis. The Iranian regime is responsible. And so I conclude that they richly deserve the label of state sponsor of terrorism that they have so well earned. I've come to believe that we can count on this regime to continue to foster regional instability, and I'm not going out on a limb here because they're doing it today in Iraq and Syria and Lebanon. I believe that an Iran with nuclear weapons would present an unacceptable threat not only to the region, but to the entire international community. And I can think of no other case in which organized democratic resistance against a regime is so warranted and so necessary. I'd like to talk just for a minute about the MEK that's an important element of this resistance. I was in Iraq in 2004 when we granted them protected status. And over the almost 3 years I was there, we closely monitored the behavior of the MEK at Camp Ashraf. I had 2-star generals visiting Camp Ashraf weekly, and they would report to me weekly on what was going on there. I can tell you that we never had a problem, and the entire time I was there, Camp Ashraf was very, very uneventful. And so I watched with dismay in 2009, in 2011, and in 2013 as the men and women that we vowed to protect were savagely attacked. And savagely attacked after the United Nations, after the Iraqi government, and after the U.S. government had agreed that the MEK must be protected and resettled. We must ensure the protection of the MEK as long as they are in Iraq and until they're resettled. The MEK has consistently upheld their end of the bargain, and we owe them their safety and their future.